So be amongst them just. Offer all your prayers from dawn to dusk. This life is a test, so strive to be your best. Be patient in this life, it's the key to the next. Keep pride out your heart, live life like a guest. Good character is what our prophet came to perfect. By the time you learn to love, you'll have to learn to lose.
Radio Al-Ansar, 24/7, 365.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It is your host, Ria Mahomed, on Next On right here at Radio Al-Ansar. From exploring current trends into delving into pressing issues like social justice and mental health, the show fearlessly tackles the pivotal subjects that resonate deeply within our generation. My mission is to embody authenticity, relatability, and humor, ensuring that even the most challenging discussions become accessible and engaging, creating a space where listeners can feel understood and entertained simultaneously. Now, today's topic of discussion follows as who are we? We will be discussing 5 themes relating to this topic, such as main character syndrome, confidence or conceit, the digital diary, how Gen Z archives emotion online, and learning to relearn by breaking free from generational trauma, friendships in a flux, chosen family, ghosting and growing apart, and lastly, digital activism, the real impact of slacktivism, AI in the future of work and purpose. So where do humans fit in when the machines take over their jobs? Now, let's talk about main character syndrome, confidence or conceit. Now, exploring how TikTok culture shapes self-image, narcissism, and the need to be seen. Now, this speaks straight to the heart of Gen Z's relationship with identity, performance, and self-worth in the age of social media, and especially TikTok. So let's look at this. What is main character syndrome? Now, main character syndrome is a cultural term that describes someone who sees themselves in a central figure in their life story, sometimes to a point of dramatic self-centeredness. So it's often used lightheartedly to refer to people who walk down the street listening to music as if they're in a movie, narrating their lives on TikTok, or romanticizing even the mundane. Now, there's tension here. Is it healthy assertion of agency and self-worth, or is it narcissism dressed up in aesthetic filters? So let's look at TikTok culture, a stage for the self. Now, TikTok has popularized this main character energy in a way that no other platform has. So the algorithm feeds individual stories, making everyday people feel seen, validated, and followed, even if it's only for 15 seconds. So here's what TikTok amplifies. Vlogs that romanticize the everyday, so like a day in the life as the main character, or the POV's point of view, videos with cinematic music and captions like me realizing I deserve more, and then therapy and speak an emotional disclosure, turning vulnerability into virality. Now, TikTok creates a space where self-expression is performance, and that's both empowering and emotionally complicated. So, confidence or conceit. Let's break down both sides, okay? Now, confidence, main character energy. Now, this can be a response to generations of people, especially in women and different folks, being told to shrink themselves. For marginalized communities, taking up space online becomes an act of rebellion, a way of saying, I deserve to be seen, heard, loved. I deserve this. It can also be a form of self-soothing in a chaotic world, like romanticizing life helps people cope with stress, depression, or trauma. Then conceit, which is the darker side, when the narrative becomes all about you. Others become supporting characters, which can lead to emotional disconnection. Now, people may prioritize aesthetic over authenticity, performing their lives rather than living in them. There's a risk of external validation addiction, which is like self-worth that becomes tied to likes, shares, and how cinematic one appears. So it may encourage a narcissistic lens where relationships and experiences are filtered to how they serve your storyline. Now let's look at the need to be seen, a generational hunger. Now, main character syndrome reflects a deeper human need, the need to be witnessed. In a time where people feel isolated despite being hyperconnected, mental health struggles are peaking. Traditional structures like religion, family, community are breaking down. The internet becomes a mirror and a stage. People seek out a space to say, look at me, I matter. But the danger is when being seen becomes more important than being known. So one can have a huge audience and still feel emotionally starved. Now, the balance is important between self-centered versus self-aware. Now, this challenge isn't to avoid main character energy, it's about balancing it. So, are you narrating your life or editing it to fit in an algorithm? Is your confidence rooted in self-love or comparison? Can you be the main character in your life without treating others like extras? Ask yourself that question, think about it. Now, main character syndrome isn't inherently toxic. It's a mirror of how this generation is reclaiming personal narrative, but it's also a signal to stay grounded in community, empathy, and presence. So, being the main character doesn't just mean by being the only character. You can walk through life with confidence and connection, starring in your own story without forgetting that everyone else is living in theirs too. Now, our next theme follows as the digital diary, how Gen Z archives emotional online. So, from Be Real to Instagram stories to how Gen Z publicly processes private feelings. Now, this speaks to a very cultural shift, the way that Generation Z uses digital platforms to document, express, and process their innermost emotions and experiences, almost like public journaling. So, this isn't just about social media for fun or aesthetics, it's about emotional archiving, building a living, breathing record of the self through digital means. So, let's break it down in a bit of depth, okay? Number one is emotional expression as documentation. Now, traditionally, diaries were private, leather bound notebooks hidden under pillows. Now, for Gen Z, those emotional entries now live online. So, Instagram stories, Be Real, TikTok rants, close friend lists, even anonymous confessions on like Reddit or X, Twitter. These platforms are now where young people vent, reflect, and remember. They're not just sharing what happened, but how it felt. A breakup isn't a status update, it's a curated set of sad songs, blurry selfies, inside jokes that no longer hit, or cryptic quotes posted at 2 a.m. Now, this creates a timeline of emotional development, a digital breadcrumb trail of how they felt at different moments in life. It's personal, but semi public. Now, number two is Be Real and the rise of authenticity theater. Now, Be Real asks users to share a real-time photo from both front and back cameras at a random time daily, supposedly encouraging authenticity and rawness. But in practice, it becomes a form of curated vulnerability. And Gen Z participates in this because they crave realness in a world of polished perfection, like Instagram aesthetic feeds that are falling out of fashion. But even realness is performative. Taking your Be Real late so you can post something more interesting is a form of emotional image management. It's a paradox. Gen Z wants to be authentic, but also understood, admired, and aesthetically sad or soft. Now, the public-private blur. For older generations, there was a clear line between public and private life. So Gen Z, that line is gone. They would post a crying selfie on a close friend or still go looking out and flying the same night. Emotions are content, not just shallow sense, but shared experience. So it's like, I'm feeling this way. Anyone else? Becomes a ritual of communal processing that creates a parasocial intimacy. The followers aren't just watchers, but they are part of your emotional timeline. Validation through likes or messages becomes emotional support. So, storytelling, number four, as healing. Platforms like TikTok have become spaces for mini vlogs about a bad day, POV, point of view videos, reenacting trauma or heartbreak, voiceovers of deep reflections over soft visuals. Now, this is therapeutic. It's storytelling for healing, not just for the audience, but for the creator too. Gen Z is actively archiving pain and joy, framing their own narratives. So here are some risks and reflections. Number five. So while it's powerful, there are consequences. So emotional burnout from constant self-exposure, the commodification of vulnerability, where expressing real-life pain becomes trendy and performative. difficulty in disguising online characters from real healing, not everything processed online resolved offline. Yet for many, it's better than silence. Gen Z grew up in a hyperconnected, emotionally aware digital age, and they redefined what it means to feel it out loud. So the digital diary is Gen Z's way of turning digital space into emotional space. Be Real, Instagram stories, TikTok, they're not just platforms. They're journals, confessionals, and mirrors. Instead of writing private, Gen Z archives emotion publicly, blending vulnerability, creativity, and community in a way that's reshaping how we understand identity, healing, and a connection in the 21st century. So I want to know, anyway, I will be back right after the ad break where we are going to be talking about unlearning to return, breaking free from generational trauma.
Sunnah a Day, proudly brought to you by Sunpick, 100% pure sunflower cooking oil. Sunpick, cook more with less.
मेरे नबी प्यारे नबी सुन्नत तेरी दुनिया दी.
Sunnah a day. The following dua should be recited before entering the bathroom. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubuthi wal-khaba'ith. O Allah, I seek your protection from the male and female devil. Enter the bathroom with the left foot.
Sunnah a Day, proudly brought to you by Sunpick, 100% pure sunflower cooking oil. Sunpick, cook more with less.
Imagine this. You're putting together a 7-color meal, from the creamy pasta to the glazed carrots and flavorful onion gravy. This entire meal is made with our 100% pure extra virgin olive oil from our La Familia range, bringing outstanding quality and taste to your kitchen. Shop La Familia 100% pure extra virgin olive oil at any leading supermarkets near you. La Familia, heart of the home.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al-Ansar.
This segment is brought to you by Kenfield Auto, your RMI approved service and repair specialist. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport.
Kenfield Auto. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ربنا وأدخلهم جنات عدن التي وعدتهم ومن صلح من آبائهم وأزواجهم وذرياتهم إنك أنت العزيز الحكيم وقهم السيئات ومن تق السيئات يومئذ فقد رحمته وذلك هو الفوز العظيم.
Car won't start?
Kenfield Auto.
Noisy brakes?
Kenfield Auto.
Due for a service?
Kenfield Auto.
Kenfield Auto, the answer to all your car problems. Your service and repair specialist for your VW, Audi, Suzuki, Toyota, or just about any vehicle. Kenfield Auto, your RMI and insurance approved workshop to handle them all. 236 Brickfield Road, Overport. Call us on 031 207 2399. Kenfield Auto.
We're still in the running and you can help us win it all. Radio Al-Ansar is honored to be recognized in 3 exciting categories on the Best of Durban Readers' Choice Awards 2025.
Best Local Radio Station,
Radio Al-Ansar,
Best Local Radio Shows,
Urban Woman and Afternoon Jam,
Best Local Radio Personality.
Razia Rangwage. The voting deadline has been extended to 18th May, so don't miss your chance to help us win. Visit bestofsouthafrica.co.za/Durban, head under Entertainment section, or simply scan the QR code on our socials and vote in seconds. Let's make 2025 a winning year for Radio Al Ansar.
Getting you through your day. Radio Al Ansar.
It's Ria Mohammed here, hosting the Next Gen show on Radio Al Ansar. It's not just a radio show, it stands as a powerful movement in its own right. It embodies the essence of individuality, creativity, and positivity, where we explore the latest trends and engage in lively discussions. Expect a mix of insight, humor, and mental health, social justice, and relevance that promises an enlightening and enjoyable listening experience, ensuring you don't miss out on this captivating adventure on Next Gen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's Ria Mohammed here on Next Gen live on Radio Al Ansar. Now let's talk about unlearning to relearn, breaking free from generational trauma. So, a candid look at how Gen Z is rewriting the emotional scripts passed down. Now, this one's rich and deeply important. So, unlearning to relearn, breaking free from generational trauma is about the cultural and psychological shift, where Gen Z is consciously identifying, challenging, and rewriting the emotional and behavioral patterns inherited from previous generations, especially those rooted in pain, silence, survival, and dysfunction. It is a reckoning and a rebirth. So let's unpack this thoroughly. What is generational trauma? Now, generational trauma, also known as intergenerational trauma, refers to psychological wounds that are passed down from one generation to the next, often subconsciously, and this result can form from historical injustices like colonialism, apartheid, slavery, war, forced displacement, family dysfunction like abuse, addiction, emotional neglect, and poverty, cultural silence, stigmas around mental health, gender roles, identity. Now, these traumas aren't just stories, they shape how we handle conflict, how we express emotion, and how our ideas of success, love, and punishment and self-worth go toward. Now, Gen Z's unique position follows as they are born roughly between 1997 and 2012, and they are the first generation to grow up with full access to language around trauma, therapy, boundaries, and healing. In an era where mental health is openly discussed and not hidden, in online spaces where people share their healing journeys in real time, they have been raised by parents or caregivers who often did not have the tools to process their own trauma because they were in survival mode. So Gen Z is more emotionally literate, more critical of cultural norms, more willing to call out harmful family patterns. Now, the process of unlearning, this is the first brave step. Naming the wound. Unlearning involves identifying unhealthy behaviors. So why do I shut down when people raise their voice? Or why does guilt always follow my success? Challenging core beliefs by maybe love doesn't have to hurt, or maybe boundaries are not disrespectful. And dismantling toxic traditions, whether being told children must not talk back, or therapy is for white people, Gen Z is questioning inherent truths. Unlearning is hard. It feels like betrayal, like rejecting family, culture, religion, but it's actually about protecting what's worth keeping and healing what's not. So, relearning healthier patterns after the breakdown comes the rebuild. Learning means creating new emotional scripts, like it's okay to cry, I don't need to earn love, rest is not laziness. Choosing new tools like journaling, therapy, boundaries, self-regulation, and reparenting yourself. Learning to give yourself the love, safety, and validation your caregivers may not have been able to offer. Now, this doesn't mean hating your roots. It means evolving them. Gen Z often says, I am becoming the person I needed when I was younger. And that is powerful. That is what's powerful. Now, cultural specificity and intersectionality. Now, the journey varies depending on where you're from and what identities you hold. Like, for example, in African, Asian, Middle Eastern, Latino households where honor, shame, and obedience are cultural pillars, unlearning can be even more delicate. Religious trauma and poverty cycles are all intersect with the generational trauma. So Gen Z isn't only breaking cycles in silence, they're often doing it while still living under their parents' roofs. They are navigating healing without severing, redefining, and respect and care across cultural lines. Then community and collective healing. Now, Gen Z leans on community-based healing, like TikTok therapy, Instagram infographics, group therapy, trauma-informed podcasts, sharing and validating each other's experiences online, saying "me too" in the comments under someone's emotional post. Healing becomes less isolating, and it's a collective unlearning, an emotional revolution. So, why does this matter? Now, this isn't just about individual healing, it's about shifting the emotional DNA of every entire family and community. Now, a Gen Z woman learning to say no is protecting her future daughter's voice. A Gen Z man going to therapy is undoing generations of emotional suppression in his bloodline. And this is a way one learned one behavior at a time. Now, unlearning to relearn is Gen Z's act of emotional rebellion and reimagination. They are confronting generational trauma with language, tools, and compassion that past generations did not have access to. They're not just breaking cycles, they're building new, healthier legacies. It's messy, brave work, but it's sacred. So now let's talk about this. The theme friendships in a flux, chosen family, ghosting, and growing apart speaks directly to the evolving nature of human connection in the 21st century. So here's a breakdown of the different layers of this concept and the thoughtful exploration of what makes friendship real today. Number one is the changing landscape of friendship. In previous generations, friendships were often built on physical proximity, neighborhoods, schools, workplaces, and maintained through constant in person action. Today, in an era of digital connection, emotional wellness trends, and global mobility, friendships are increasingly fluid, intentional, and emotionally complex. Now, friendships is no longer just about who is around you. It's about who shows up for you emotionally, especially in a world where family structures may not provide support for those who need. This is where the idea of chosen family becomes relevant. So now, chosen family number two is rewriting the definition of kinship, chosen family. Now, this refers to people who deliberately invite into the intimate, familial space of our lives, often because our biological families are absent, toxic, or unable to meet our emotional needs. Now, these are friendships built on mutual care, shared values, and emotional safety. Unlike traditional family, chosen family is voluntary, which makes the bond incredibly precious because it's actively maintained and not assumed. Now, this shift is powerful. It places intention, emotional depth, and loyalty at the heart of what makes a friendship real today. Now, number three, ghosting, the disappearance of closure. Now, in contrast to family and deep emotional bonds, ghosting, the act of cutting off contact without explanation, has emerged as a stark, painful reality of modern friendships. It's easier than ever to disconnect without accountability thanks to digital communication. Now, ghosting reflects of a fear of confrontation, emotional avoidance, or simply a mismatch in how two people define friendship. But it also raises serious questions. If someone can vanish from your life without a word, was the friendship ever real? Now, this is where the emotional contradiction of modern connection lies, where technology allows us to stay technically in touch, but emotionally, many friendships remain surface level or transactional. Number four is growing apart, the quiet drift. Not all friendships end explosively, some fade quietly over time. People move cities, evolve their beliefs, or change priorities. Now, this natural drifting can cause guilt or grief, especially in culture that often glorifies ride or die friendships. But the truth is, growing apart doesn't make a friendship less real. It may simply mean it served a purpose for season of life. Now, emotional maturity today means recognizing that friendships evolve and some don't withstand every phase of life. It's not about fault, it's about growth, and sometimes that growth takes people in different directions. So, number five, what makes a friendship real today? Now, in today's context, a real friendship is not necessarily one that lasts forever, but one that is mutual, where both parties choose to invest time, energy, and emotional support. It needs to be emotionally safe, where you can show up vulnerably and be met with compassion. Consistent, even if you don't talk daily, there's a sense of reliability and presence. Respectful of boundaries. Today's friendships thrive when there's a space for individuality alongside connection, aligned with values, shared beliefs, or at least mutual respect built on solid foundation. So ultimately, real friendships today are less about quantity and longevity and more about emotional quality. They are measured by how they make us feel, how safe we are to be ourselves, and how well they weather life's inevitable changes. Anyway, I will be back right after the ad break where we will be discussing digital activism, real impact or slacktivism.
In that hour of need, when I was so lost, so lonely, you came to me, took my breath away, showed me the right way, the way to lead. You filled my heart, showed me the light. Now all I want is to be with you. You are my one true love. Told me to never judge. Now all I want is to be with you.
Skin, when my cake or icing just doesn't come out right, it's such a bummer. But I found this incredible margarine called Wooden Spoon, and it's been a total lifesaver for my baking adventures. It makes my icing turn out just perfect every time. When I whip up something with Wooden Spoon, I feel like a master baker. Seriously, my cakes have never looked better. The secret? Wooden Spoon margarine. It's like the magic ingredient for nailing those perfect bakes. And guess what? It's even endorsed by the South African Bakers Guild Association. Just another quality product from the Willowton Group.
Able to disable. Give the gift of giving. Every step matters. For many, mobility is a dream. This drive provides wheelchairs and walkers to those who need them most. Your generosity can restore independence, dignity, and freedom. Help us bring the joy of movement to someone today. Together, we can transform lives. Donate now. Empower the disabled. Call outreach on 031 208 1601.
Join me, Faisal MD Suleiman and Buddy Governor on Let's Chat this Friday evening at 9 p.m. and every Friday thereafter when we venture on a trip down memory lane.
Remember, the vibrant district of the Grey Street Casbah has been the soul of Durban's Indian community, a place where stories are woven into the fabric of its bustling markets, historic buildings, the people, and that has shaped our legacy. From the towering Juma Masjid Mosque to the majestic Emmanuel Cathedral to the iconic tea rooms and shops that have stood the test of time. The Casbah, more than just a place, it's an experience. It's a life that seems to have faded away into memory. This will evolve into a regular Friday evening series on the show, and you can share your memories and experience and family stories with us by calling in or sending us a WhatsApp, which we will read out on the show.
Tune in to Let's Chat on Radio Al-Ansar and enjoy the stroll down memory lane together. Let's Chat this and every Friday at 9 p.m.
We'd love to meet you. Pay us a visit. Radio Al-Ansar.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك إن الحمد والنعمة لك والملك لا شريك لك.
Elegant, stylish, and affordable. Al Noor kurtas are designed to make you feel confident and stylish. With intricate embroidery, vibrant colors, and comfortable fabrics. These kurtas are sure to become your go-to choice for everyday wear and special occasions alike. Visit the Al-Ansar bookshop at 207 West Road, Overport, or call them on 031 208 1601. Al-Ansar Shop, your one-stop Islamic shop.
Ladies, are you or a loved one diagnosed with cancer, or are you on treatment, or are you a cancer survivor? Then the Al Ansar Cancer Support Group is for you. Join us once a month and be a part of a supportive group of ladies to simply chat, discuss challenges, and be motivated by our guest speakers. Contact Rubina Parak on 082-786-8815 or Zora Jadwat on 082-220-3131 for more information. No one should face cancer alone.
We are unity, and you are listening to Radio Al Ansar.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at Ria Mahomed live on XGen at Radio Al Ansar. Now, we are going to be talking about digital activism, real impact, or slacktivism. Do hashtags change anything? Now, digital activism is used of digital tools, social media, online petitions, videos, blogs, and more to promote political or social change. It is an incredibly accessible way for people across the globe to voice opinions, challenge injustices, and spread awareness. But here's the real debate. Does digital activism actually create a world of change? Or is it just slacktivism, the illusion of activism that requires minimal effort and achieves very little? So let's break this down. Now, firstly, what is digital activism? Now, digital activism refers to the campaigns and movements that take place primarily online. Now, these may include hashtag movements like hashtag #MeToo, hashtag Black Lives Matter, hashtag Freeze Must Fall, hashtag Free Palestine. Online petitions, for example, Change.org campaigns, viral videos or infographics like educating people on issues, live stream protests or Twitter threads to report injustice, virtual protests for fundraisers. Now, the beauty of digital activism is its reach and accessibility. So you don't need to be in a city center to be part of a protest. You can contribute from your phone wherever you are, but this is accessibility is also part of the critique. Now, what is slacktivism? Let's talk about this. Now, slacktivism, which is a blend of a slacker and activist. Now, this is where people engage in a feel-good online actions that don't require much effort and often don't result in meaningful change. So think of someone sharing a post about world hunger without donating, volunteering, or lobbying for policy change. Now, critics argue that clicking like, using a hashtag, or sharing a video that makes people feel like they've done something, which can reduce their motivation to take real-world action. Now, this is the core of slacktivism criticism, and it looks like activism, but it often stops short of real engagement. So, do hashtags change anything? Now, hashtags can be really powerful, but context matters. So let's look at both sides. Yes, hashtags can drive change by amplification of voices, where marginalized groups can bypass traditional media and speak directly to global audiences. For example, Black Lives Matter brought attention to police brutality in the US and sparked international protests and policy discussions. Public awareness, hashtags like End SARS in Nigeria drew global attention to police violence, forcing Nigerian government to respond to disband the SARS unit through deeper reforms are still debated. Then solidarity and mobilization. Hashtags help people feel connected to a cause, and this sense of community can translate into donations, protests, voting drives, or even volunteerism. Accountability. Politicians, corporations, and public figures have been held to account after being called out en masse online, hashtag #MeToo being a prime example. Cultural shift. Movements like hashtag #MeToo and hashtag Time's Up have helped a shift in societal attitudes around consent and power dynamics in workplaces. But hashtags alone are not enough. Echo chambers. Often people are just preaching to the choir. Your followers may already agree with you, and post doesn't change minds or create new allies. Short attention span. Hashtags can go viral and vanish in days. Movements require long-term consistent effort. So once the trend dies down, so does activism. Then false sense of action. People may feel that they've done their part by posting or tweeting without taking more meaningful steps like voting, posting, protesting, lobbying, or donating. Exploitation and performative activism. Brand or influencers may use hashtags to appear woke without actually supporting the cause or changing internal policies. Number 4, measuring real impact. So let's consider a few examples. Hashtag fees must fall in South Africa. What started as an online movement grew into nationwide protests. It led to government freezing tuition hikes and increased funding for education. Social media helped coordinate and amplify the movement, but real change came from organized, sustained pressure offline. Hashtag Arab Spring. Twitter and Facebook were used to mobilize protests along and across the Middle East. The upsprings were very real, but the long-term outcomes varied, and in some cases led to new forms of repression. So digital tools can help start revolutions, but they can't guarantee good outcomes. Then hashtag Coney 2012. Hugely viral, but ultimately did not lead to much long-term change. It became a case study in how viral campaigns can burn out quickly without structure. So my final verdict is the real impact or slacktivism. Now, it's not one or the other. Digital activism and slacktivism are both present online, and it depends on what follows the online action. So if a hashtag leads to offline engagement, policy pressure, or community mobilization, it is real activism. If it stops at likes, shares, and without pushing for action or change, it becomes slacktivism. So in essence, hashtags raise awareness, but action changes systems. Now let's talk about our next topic, which is AI, the future of work and purpose. Where do humans fit in? Now, certainly, here's a full depth exploration of this topic, right? Where AI, future of self and work purpose. Now, the rise of artificial intelligence, AI, is reshaping not just how we work, but how work means, and where human beings find their purpose in a way increasingly dominated by machines. As we step deeper into the fourth industrial revolution, many are asking if machines do most things faster, cheaper, and more efficiently, what is left for us? Now let's look at this. Let's unpack this carefully, why technologically, economically, and philosophically. Now, number one is what's actually happening with AI in the workplace. Now, AI isn't just science fiction anymore. It's already doing things that were once exclusive domain of humans. Now, routine automation. Machines are handling repetitive physical and digital tasks like factory work, data entry, or basic accounting. Smart systems, where AI is writing emails, analyzing contracts, processing loans, and managing logistics. Creative roles, like tools like ChatGPT, Illicit, and other can now write poetry, generate music, design logos, or even suggest legal arguments. Decision making, where AI is now being used in healthcare for diagnosis, in HR or recruitment, and in finance for risk of analysis. So, in short, AI is increasingly capable of doing both manual labor and cognitive labor. This creates major ripple effects across industries. Now, number two is jobs at risk versus jobs evolving. Now, not every job will vanish, but many are changing drastically. So, here's the spectrum. Now, jobs most at risk, such as like routine or repetitive tasks, for example, data entry, cashiers, and toll makers. Then physical tasks in controlled environments such as factory assembly, warehouse packing, and some white-collar work, for example, paralegals, basic journalism, junior accounting. Then jobs likely to evolve and not disappear is healthcare, where AI can assist with diagnosis, but empathy and bedside manner are irreplaceable. Education, where AI can personalize learning, but human guidance and inspiration are critical. And law and policy, where AI can summarize legal documents, but judgment, ethics, and advocacy require human minds. Then creative industries. While AI can generate content, humans are still define the context, emotion, and originality that resonate deeply. Now, jobs on the rise: AI and robotics engineering, ethics and policy in tech, cybersecurity, human centered design, mental health services. In many cases, humans will move forward from being doers to the managers, interpreters, or supervisors of AI systems. So the question is, where do humans fit in? Now, this is the heart of the question, and it goes beyond economics. It touches on our very sense of purpose. When machines handle labor, where do we find value? Now, here are areas where human beings still shine and will continue to shine. A. Emotional intelligence. AI lacks empathy, intuition, and moral reasoning, where humans are better at mediation and counseling, teaching and mentorship, customer relations that require norms. B. Ethical decision making. Now, machines can be trained on data, but they don't understand values. As we face complex global challenges, we need philosophers, ethicists, and policy thinkers. Human oversight in justice, medicine, warfare, and privacy. Number C, creativity and meaning making. AI can make and remix ideas, but it doesn't feel joy, grief, or awe. The human ability to create meaning is really profound, like art, literature, music, storytelling, designing experiences, rituals, and cultural expressions. D. Building communities. People crave connection, where we're often wired for tribe belonging and purpose. Community organizations, spiritual leaders, caregivers, therapists, the human touch in leadership and social change is irreplaceable. Now, number 4, the purpose of in a work post-work world. Now, if work as we know it shrinks or becomes automated, what gives us purpose? We've long tied our identity to our profession. What do you do? It's often the first thing we ask someone. But we may be heading toward a future where universal basic income UBI supports people even if they do not work in traditional sense. Work becomes passion driven rather than survival driven. Purpose shifts into caregiving, learning, creativity, and community building. Now, this world and this would be a major psychological and societal shift. It could liberate us from social soul-crushing jobs, but it could also cause existential anxiety, especially in cultures. Now, the big question: what do we want AI for? Now, ultimately, AI is a tool. The question is not just what it can do, but we can choose what to do with it. Do we want to replace human labor entirely, or to enhance human potential? Now, the best future may be one where machines handle the boring or dangerous work. Humans focus on empathy, imagination, and care. Society redefines success in terms of well-being, not just profit. So AI can take jobs, but it can't take our humanity. Now, the real challenge is not just economic, but it's philosophical. It's about redefining value, purpose, and community in a world where old systems are changing very, very fast. So, where do humans fit in? Right at the heart of all, as designers, ethicists, creators, caregivers, and leaders of meaning. So anyway, we have now unfortunately reached the end of today's show, so it's time to wrap up. So in a world shaped by rapid technological change, shifting social norms, and digital mindset, the modern individual finds themselves constantly negotiating identity, purpose, and belonging. Whether it's grappling the main character syndrome, the delicate balance between self-confidence and self-absorption, or navigating emotional terrain of digital diaries and online vulnerability, Gen Z is rewriting rules of self-expression. Simultaneously, the work of unlearning generational trauma signals a powerful shift, a refusal to carry forward pain disguised as tradition. Friendships, too, are no longer static. They evolve, dissolve, and reform, often unexpected ways, reflecting the fluidity of the times. In the realm of justice and change, digital activism walks a fine line between awareness and action, reminding us the intention without efforts risk performing performative. As AI continues to redefine the future of work, we're faced with one urgent question: where do humans fit in? So ultimately, the answer may not lie in competing with the machine, but in reclaiming the very essence of what makes us human: our empathy, creativity, resilience, and ability to connect. In embracing both our flaws and our potential, we write a new story every day, one that honors where we can come from, where we've come from, while daring to imagine where we can go. Anyway, I will be back next week, Thursday, the 15th of May, inshallah, from 2 to 3 p.m.